America.
Hometown in America.
1622.
1620.
Fuck, sorry.
It's on the rock. It's the Wi-Fi password at the cafe.
But, okay, so let me ask you this, though. Why did you feel like you had, why do you do that?
Why did I move to Boston? Why all of it?
But I guess, did you feel like, why do you think you had to choose Leslie? Or a school?
Well, I actually only applied to Leslie. That was the only school I applied to, and I just got very lucky in the sense that I got in. But the reason I chose that one specifically is because of art therapy. The reason that I chose art therapy is because I wanted a degree field in which I would be pretty sure that I'd be able to make money with a 9-to-5 job and still be making art, which is no longer how I feel, but at the time that seemed like the wisest option. But I was really bummed out that I wasn't studying fine arts. And actually, I was at Leslie for 2 semesters, fall of 2018 and spring of 2019. And I changed my major 3 times while I was there. So I got accepted on the basis of art therapy and had 3 semesters until graduation. Switched to fine arts in the middle of the semester because I was jealous of the fine arts kids and how they had kind of more... I think they were offered... I don't really remember, honestly, but I think they were offered, like, a senior studio, and, like, they had access to more resources in LUCAD, which is the Leslie University College of Art and Design, versus the College of Art and Science, which is where my degree would have been. And it was really just me not knowing exactly what I wanted and wishing that I was in art school while finishing a degree in science, which I really think psychology is really interesting, and I think that influenced my work a lot, and I don't really totally regret it, except for the student loans. But the reason that I ultimately got disillusioned with it was because I started to realize that the real reason I wanted to be there was because I wanted to make fine arts affordable for me to access. So I thought going there on scholarship with financial aid and getting a degree in art-related fields that was also psychology would make it so I'd be able to get a job where I could afford to do my work. And realistically, I was just arguing with the fact that maybe it's not super affordable to go to college for fine arts. So I ended up leaving school because of that and pursuing work on my own.
What a fucking stupid thing.
I know. Yeah, that in itself could be a whole episode.
Is why school is bullshit. Now let me ask you this, or like, you know what's something that I think is really interesting in my post-school brain? Also, I didn't graduate or do any, just for the record, for the listener.
Yeah.
But, like, you know what's something I think is, like, the biggest hypocrisy and lie that I think is so funny about right now? Is that I literally don't have a portfolio. I don't need one. I don't have, like... I'm saying I don't have, like, a leather case with drawings in it that I carry around and show to people.
That would be like, such a strange way to...
This is my portfolio. Here is my perfect drawing of a reflective object. This is a perfect drawing of an eyeball with a really thick, blocky eyebrow.
Here is an
M.C. Escher inspired drawing, self-portrait that my teacher told me I had to do to whatever. Anyway, but
this is a graphite drawing of a cone and a sphere.
Here's a cone.
This is a grid.
Here's a cone, a sphere, and that wooden little figure guy on a metal rod. That everyone has. That fucking,
the posable
the
figures?
fucking useless wooden little guy that nobody has ever made anything good
Those things
with.
are so annoying.
Yeah. But,
anyway.
like, I just think that's funny that, like, I mean, like, my portfolio is my Instagram.
Yes.
Or a lot of people have a, professional website. And, like, even the website seems a little bit, I'm like, I forget what that word is. Nauseous?
Congested? Nauseous?
Whichever, one of those.
Oh, sorry.
I'm one of them. But I just think it's funny that that's actually just like fake and it's not real and you don't need it. And that if you just have an Instagram or a website or you regularly display work in like a central location, like maybe a studio in a community building can be valuable for that reason.
Yeah. Or
something that I have a lot of experience with was being like an integral part of an organizer of a venue, like a DIY space. and having people there every single night for parties and shows and for my work to just be constantly changing and hung up in that space.
Yeah.
That was a rare opportunity that I experienced that I didn't know was a rare and dope opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't really understand that while I was doing it. I completely took it for granted.
Exposure.
Because of COVID. But it wasn't a paid and exposure thing either, because it was my place. Like the Puzzle Factory and the Chess Company, like it wasn't like I was hanging work in somebody else's venue for them to give me exposure. It was a DIY space that I was a part of, that I was generating an audience within.
That's incredible.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And it's not like millions of people were going there. It was like 20 people.
Yeah, but still.
Like, anyway, this is like so weird to talk about this in intro form, because we're both currently talking about stuff. Like, everything you've said in the past 20 minutes, I already know.
Yeah, true.
And everything I'm saying right now, we've talked about at length with each other already.
Another thing, too, that's important to note is that all of these things happened in the last, 3 years.
Yeah, dude.
We're still very new.
Yeah, I was born in 1995.
I was born in 1997.
And I've been... So that's kind of an interesting thing to note, too, because that will probably be very relevant information to possibly older listeners who think that we're fucking idiots right now, probably. If there's anyone that's older than 40 listening to us right now,
older than 27,
probably. Yeah, they probably think we're fucking stupid, and
I'll
that's
probably
okay.
think that in 6 months.
I don't care.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to have room to learn. Yeah.
I don't know though, but you know what's interesting though, is there is the off chance. I don't think this is my target demographic, but there is the chance that there's people listening that have no idea how to make a portfolio, or are considering going to art school, or who have recently applied, or have recently arrived at art school, or et cetera, who are very much not begun that none of the things we're saying could have occurred to them.
Another thing too is that
hold on a second. Before you start that.
Okay.
Can we also haven't you told me one time, could you speak on how you said that there were people that told you that school was bullshit?
I was just going to say
that's what I would say. Okay, yeah.
What I would say to somebody that age, I would not tell somebody not to go to art school. Not because it's a good idea to go, because I don't really know that I think that it is, but because it really depends on your situation. When I was in community college, completely didn't appreciate my art classes there because I was under what I didn't realize to be a sort of classist impression that those weren't real art classes. I went to Quincy College, and if you've been there or been an art student there, you know that there's one art room in Seville Hall. There's not ventilation, and there's no, I think there is a slop sink, actually, but all of my classes were in this one classroom that was not necessarily intended for art initially. But I got a really valuable education there, and I got exposed to new concepts, and I met people that said things to me that I still think about now, and at the time, I was a 19-year-old and didn't appreciate it and didn't understand, which is fine. I mean, that's part of growing up, but I think...
Could you say was Quincy College a good school or a sought-after school? Or what if it's reputation? I guess for anybody who may not know.
Yeah, well, it's a community college. It's a 2-year school. Honestly, my perception of that is warped by the fact that I was a kid when I went there, and I didn't choose to initially enroll there. It was just close to my house. They have a Plymouth campus. I really enjoyed my time there, though. That's what my point is going to be, is that I spent the whole time that I was there looking to 4-year school, and the professors there do sort of encourage you to do that unless you have a degree that you're working on where you just need a certificate and you're looking to go right into the workforce afterwards.
Right.
4-year school is typically the goal. You're looking to backdoor in, which is what I was doing, because I'm a low-income student. But it was valuable because I think something that I took for granted is being surrounded by working-class people. 4-year school was not the same experience for me because I went to a private art school, which isn't really even to say anything about the school itself. I'm really hesitant to say anything disparaging about the university that I went to. I think it was just a culture shock for me because I had been used to being around people that not only didn't expect help a lot of the time, but like, the fact that you were in college was a big deal. Like, you're working full-time at the same time, probably working 2 jobs. I was the whole time I was in school, even when I was a teenager. Full-time day job and a night job and school full-time. Like, working really, really hard. And being honors, like, working your ass off was something to be really admired. And I just feel like, this isn't to say that all students are like this in 4-year school, but there are people that go to private art school because it's kind of a fun thing to do, and maybe aren't...
And Leslie was like that?
In my experience, there were some students that were like that, and it was kind of a weird thing for me. Or it was
a private school also?
Yes, yeah.
Gotcha, yeah.
Which the school itself was awesome, and I did get a good education from there, but what I was missing was I didn't really have enough money to be paying the money I was paying for those lessons, and I think that you can get just as valuable of an arts education from a less expensive institution if you're a student that is in financial need, and it might be a lot wiser. For me, if I could go back in time, in retrospect, I wouldn't have tried to go to a private school. I might not have even gone to art school, but if I did, I would have considered someplace like Mass Art, or maybe even just done community college and then tried to do it on my own, or made connections with other artists and hung out in their studios and talked to them personally and looked at more mentorship opportunities. Because I think it's not to say that Leslie didn't teach me anything, because there's a lot that I picked up from there, even in the 2 semesters that I was there, that was really, really valuable and stayed with me. But the same can be said for my private mentorship, the time that I spent at the Plymouth Community Art Center for $15 semester classes, just knowing other artists personally and spending a lot of time with them. It's really about focusing on the things that you want to improve on and being open-minded to new perspectives and reading up on art history also. Or art histories, I should say, because that's a complex issue in itself, but... I don't know. That's why I wouldn't discourage somebody from going to art school, because it can expose you to things that you wouldn't be able to find if you just stayed in the place where you grew up maybe, or the same circles that you'd always been in, or associating with the same 5 or 6 artist friends that maybe aren't bringing new influences into your life. It's a great way to expose yourself to new things. But if you can't afford to do it, it's not the only way. There are other ways to do it that financially might be smarter for you. And that was just something I wish I understood more at the time. And
it's hard as well to know. I feel like what's so difficult about that advice, because I agree with everything you just said, but it's so hard to put into practice because it's so hard to know that you're putting that into practice. Because every single time, the most valuable networking situations I've ever been in, and everybody I've ever met that impacted me for years to come, in those moments, I had no idea that was happening.
Yes,
I've never talked to somebody that helped me for the rest of my life, and I knew in that moment that they were helping me for the rest of my life, and that I would remember this moment forever.
90% of the time, I react very negatively to that,
right.
actually.
It's shut the fuck up.
Fuck you, dude. You
fucking
don't know me.
Loser.
I'm gonna make it. I'm different.
I'm fucking different. And I should talk to give a brief blurb of my college experience. So you were working full time and busting your ass and fucking dual enrollment from high school all the way up. I was living at home, going to college, community college, not going to my classes. I spent all of the money I was supposed to spend on books and supplies on cigarettes and gas money and spray paint. I was a fucking idiot. I didn't make any friends in school. I wasted a shitload of time. Yeah, I just sucked the whole time. I sucked. I barely tried, and and the thing was, it wasn't because I was so cool or because I didn't care. I just was fucking tanking. I was not ready to go. Basically, that's the real story. Is I probably just needed somebody to just smack me and be like, dude, I don't know, whatever. But I did learn a shitload of stuff in the actual studio classes, but every prerequisite I had to take or classes I wasn't particularly passionate about, I just got an F and I didn't go. And I would just leave class in the middle of class, and just smoke outside and then go back in, in the middle of a class, without even excusing myself.
Yeah.
I was just such a dumbass. And it's funny because I know if for some reason, some insane reason, I decided to go to art school right now, I would probably do good. I'd be miserable, but I know I could do it.
Yeah.
I know I have the dedication and discipline to be able to complete classes and pass them right now.
Yeah.
But back then, I did not have that discipline or self-control, and I just was an idiot.
Well, in your defense...
I didn't even have a job. I literally didn't even have a job at the time. I was just totally fucking up.
In your defense, though, something I will say, like, an important thing about my story is the reason that I left school was partially... Stop.
I'm sorry.
But, no, in your defense, though, I think part of the reason that I left school was financial hardship. Like, I got really panicked about that, but in full honesty, it was a mental health crisis. I couldn't handle it anymore.